from a benefit perspective. It is not what the current Medicare program looks like right now. In many ways, I mean, our Medicare experts, again, I have briefs that are interested in it. They routinely show how employer-based coverage is much more generous if you talk about generosity in terms of the benefits that are covered and sort of the amount of things that are covered. Private health insurance to your employer is way more generous than Medicare is. I mean, if people on Medicare don't get the wraparound plans, or if they're not on, low income, seniors are often dual eligible, so they have Medicare and their Medicaid to wrap around. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that you can't pay for, even if you're on Medicare. On the other hand, the one guy on Medicare, one of our groups, was like all for it. He's like, yeah, I think it's great. But, he was a guy with really good and rapidly retiree coverage around his Medicare. And he had it good, and he knew it, and he thought everybody else should have what he had. But, which is great. And, does that answer your question?
So two questions. One is, for the last debate, they asked about would you provide insurance to undocumented citizens. Do you have any polling on emergency Medicaid? Because I know in New York State and I think in California, they also offer that insurance-ish option to undocumented citizens. And the other question is, coming from public health perspective, how could we use this opinion information on the policy side where everything else that we do is surveillance, health outcomes, incidence rates, and opinion is something that we typically capture?
That's a good question. On the first one, it's been a while. We've asked before if you want to extend it to undocumented immigrants, again, Party ID, not very popular except by Party ID. We did just ask a similar question to what you're talking about, not the emergency services particularly, but extending coverage in California. We did a California-based poll, and because Governor Newsom is all for extending Medicaid to documented and undocumented immigrants, we asked about it, and it's sort of in the middle of the pack and against Party ID. So there's that, but I can get you that. And then your other question is a really interesting one. I believe that the best use of public opinion data is to understand your audience and to understand what's happening for people, what they think, what they believe, how those beliefs and opinions interact with their real life experiences and their real life situations. I think it would help public health departments and public health officials to understand all the things that are going on in their audience's mind, especially when you're trying to change behavior or change things. So I think there are lots of ways to be using public opinion data. We do a lot of it we do a lot of HIV work on HIV prevention and treatment and PrEP, and we find survey work incredibly helpful in trying to reach those audiences and in really understanding both the challenges and the stigma and other issues. So I'm happy to have a long conversation with you or your bosses if they haven't figured out how they apply their computer. Yes.
I was wondering, how do people who oppose feel that conforming by a reality check such as the fact that so many nations have national plans that are very successful?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure I'd exactly ask that. What I would anticipate is American exceptionalism. We're the best country, we're better, that works for them, it doesn't work for us. Have you heard about all the wait lines and I know what else would say. They'd say, everyone from Canada comes here to get their drugs, everybody from the UK complains all the time. That's what I think. I don't think I've actually asked it, but that's what I would anticipate.
This might be a very specific population, but is there any data available on what business owners and employers think about the Medicare program? Because they are the ones providing the benefits, and they may also have opposing views on the services provided, such as family planning services.
That's a really interesting question. Did you mean the Medicare program or the Medicare For All idea, the proposal?
Medicare For All.
Yeah. I am not sure. I have seen lots of data of employers and their attitudes on these things over time. I have not been looking for it recently. There are a lot of employer groups who are very engaged in the policy debate on this topic. I know that they have some of the big employers and the small employers. They have one of the things we've seen over time is the vast majority of employers in the United States are small business employers. Small business employers tend to act like individuals. So their attitudes on these things tend to reflect their individual attitudes. We've done a fair number of surveys over time of small business owners, and they sort of just, if they're Republican, they think one way, if they're Democrat, they think another way. But the big businesses is where the vast majority of people get their insurance, right? So there's fewer of them, but they get their insurance that way. And those guys have so much market power, and they're so engaged in this conversation that they do have big opinions on it. I think that, I don't know if there's real data on it. What I've heard them talk about in these discussions is that they have a lot more control. You know, they self-insure, they pay their own bills, they can make their own things, and they're trying everything. They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at lowering costs. But they would rather have control than give that up for the government, and they fear about what the implications for taxes and for expenses would be. The other thing that you have to keep in mind in this whole healthcare discussion, and it really plays a role with employers, is they're getting a huge tax cut basically by offering health insurance, because they can offer it with pre-tax dollars. So they're not, that's a whole, they're paying a lot of money, but they don't have to pay taxes and all that. So it's a really big expense that they can deduct. And I forgot what the recent estimate is. We give up, because of this way the way we treat employer-sponsored insurance in the tax code, we give up, I wish I could Google it fast enough, so much money to a lot. I think it's like, it's way billions, but it could almost be trillion. I think it's billions, maybe billions, like 55 billion or something. We give up in tax revenue every year. And so that's another whole thing that's coming into play. Like, if they have to, it depends a lot on how you would treat that in a Medicare For All system. But also, the people who are making those decisions, they like their own health insurance that they're getting through their company, but they're going to get picked too. So for them to, it's complicated. But there are like, there's a panel, there's a group of employers who are pro Medicare For All, and they're, advocates, and they have a group. It's just a small group, is my impression.
But you can still give the employers that ability to pick and have Medicare for all. So like in Medicare and Medicaid, you can be on the HMO. And the HMO is administering everything just the same as if I had another plan. We can allow the employers to like, oh, we'll offer this plan. And if you don't like that, well then come over to this website and,
That's
take
very
yours
much
on
like
that.
the public option, when we were talking about those buckets of types of plans. So if I was going to say where we're going to end up in a country, we're going to end up on this part of that chart. We're not going to end up on this part of the chart.
Yeah.
But the debate during the primaries and the debate during probably the general election is going to be on this part.
Oh yeah, it's going to be on the way left, right now.
That's probably enough, right? I'll stick around for a while if anybody has any questions. It was really fun to do.
If you don't know me, I'm Randall Reese. I'm the incoming president for New York A4. I just wanted, while we have people here, give you a chance to preview what's coming up in the fall. And the first thing is we're going to do an annual membership survey, which we haven't done in a while. So look for that to come out in your inboxes in the next 2 weeks. I'll promise it's shorter than the A4 conference survey. At least take the time to fill it out. And also, we have planned our fall kickoff event for September, which is a date confirmed, September 10th. It will be at the Frying Pan, which is at the West Side Highway or the Hudson River, basically 25th Street. We had the event there, I think 2 years ago. We're doing it again by popular demand. We have requests to do it there again, so it's a good chance to see that space. Coming up, and we're still working on the date towards probably the third week of September, we have David Harris, which I don't think has a lot of familiarity with this group. He's written a book called The Complete Guide to Writing Questionnaires, How to Get Better Information for Better Decisions. I know a lot of people probably think I don't need to know about this. I know how to write a questionnaire. I thought the same thing. I first met him at the Quarks Market Research event this year. All the millennials on my team thought he was a rock star. They're like, you have to go see this guy. I was amazed. It was a great presentation. He really knows his stuff. He really reminds you of the stuff you forgot. If we price this right, we hope to include a copy of his book with it, so you can come away with that. One of my senior colleagues that saw him, she said, I don't have to go to this. I know all this. And she came out, immediately bought his book. So I would definitely recommend him. He didn't know, he's always worked in pharmaceuticals, so on the company side, he's now independent, yeah. Yeah, so he's an A4 member, but you might not know him because he's not a prominent, he's more a qualitative researcher. But definitely a great speaker, he's really entertaining as well. What else? We have Bob Shapiro here who's working with us on the Roper dinner. We're doing he's arranging a panel on the census. That's coming up, definitely confirmed for November 14th, right? So he's putting together a real rock star group of panelists to talk about the census, and I'll defer to him if you want to know who's on the panel. It's going to be before the Roper dinner, starting at 3:30 in the afternoon. It's a free event, and it's going to be at the public library. So Bob will give you more details, so contact him. Of course, it's election season. We'll do a fall election event. More details on that. I know people are always interested to hear about that. And also, we'll have our annual holiday party at our D-Ship where we had in the past. And we are confirmed for December 11th, I think, Saturday. Unless something changes, I know that's a ways out, but mark your calendars for that. And more to come.